I know we don't have a ton of time, and I got Phil Anselmo here on the wall, so you're going to have to rehash that story for the probably millionth time. But talk about working with Phil Anselmo and kind of give me how that came to be.
This is a common theme, but it's okay. You know, it was a big moment in my career. It was a big moment in VOD, and it seemed like it's been a big moment for a lot of fans out there, and it's awesome. And again, it was just a series of events that linked up. You know, long story short, we did OzzFest '97 with Pantera. Robb Flynn introduced me to Phil. We had the same management at the time as well, and we just got to know each other. We were hanging out. I was partying a lot at the time. Needless to say, Pantera is Pantera, and they were doing their thing. So there was a lot of bro downs after the shows, between the sets, and I got out on stage and sung with Pantera a bunch. So Phil was very cool. He was really, really into VOD because he's like an underground guy. So he saw VOD. VOD was like the only hardcore band besides Neurosis, who isn't even a hardcore band, on OzzFest. So he was into us, and he'd come watch us, and he was very cool. So after the tour wrapped, we stayed in touch, and we were writing Imprint, and Imprint, we wanted to round that out again with something special. We like to push the limits. All the records I've ever done, there's always been the conversation, how the fuck are we going to make this better? How are we going to make this special? And that we wanted a guest vocalist, but it couldn't be any guest. So I was driving home with Mike Kennedy one day, and I was like, look, dude, why don't I just call up Phil and see if he'll do it? You know, we had this song, and he was just like, are you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely. So I called him up, and he was very cool about it. And he's like, yeah, come on down. I'm like, I'll bring it. So I got to work. I brought it down to his studio down there. And I always like to tell this part of the story. You know, I was just out of recording Imprint. So I was in peak form. You know, my voice was vicious. And we got into the studio, and he looks at me. He's like, who's going first? And I was like, I was just so fucking probably amped up and nervous. Like, I'm going first. But I fucking jumped in there, and I banged my takes out in 2 fucking takes. Boom, done. I did my singing takes up here with Dave Sardi and our producer, but I flew down, and we thought it would be cool to do the screams together. And then Phil wound up going, and Phil was like a little rusty at first. He did a couple of takes, and his voice, I was like, oh my God. I was saying to myself, these guys are going to kill me. His voice isn't sounding so good. But, after like 4 or 5 takes, his voice was insane. And you're just sitting, and a special part of that moment was I got to just hang out. It was just me and him. No cameras around, no chicks around, no circus. And I got to see, I think I got to see a very, rare thing. You get to see this crazy superstar who influenced you in 1,000 different ways in his own element with just him and a microphone. And it was really cool to see. He was super professional. And I really think, I've heard a lot of his stuff around that time, like guest vocal spots. He put a lot of effort into our track, man. Like, he really fucking did an amazing job. He could have did anything, and we would have took it. But you could tell he wrote lyrics. He put thought into it. And I still remember bringing that when I got home that weekend, which was a fucking amazing weekend. I don't think we have time to get into that. But I got back, and I brought that into Roadrunner, and we played it. It was probably Monte Connor was at the table, a couple other people. Their jaws dropped when they heard, when we go into the bridge and he hits those crazy high screams. They were just like, what the fuck? They had no idea what we brought in there. And that record alone stands on its own. It's a vicious fucking record. No one can say that it isn't. And then we were able to pull that together and have that on the record. It just made it an amazing moment, in my career and within VOD.